All right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit with me, Coach Shahn Ellis, our main Kingdom Challenge coach here inside of the game of Warrior Week, and as well as our Kingdom Challenge experience. Today with me, Sean, we're going to talk about the blue-collar man.
The blue-collar man. So if you want to know a little bit about my backstory, I come from the construction industry. So essentially, I'm just a blue-collar guy that got myself in a pretty sticky spot and ended up searching for something that would get my life to work, and ended up at the gates of Wake Up Warrior.
Pretty good, man. Nice to have you here. Gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit. All right, man. We're gonna come back, and right out of the gate, I'm gonna start with one of the elite shit that you said. I think it was back in one of the Warrior Weeks or inside of that, but it was like scripture from the above, and you brought it down and you wrote it on a fucking piece of stone, and it's grounded forever here inside of that. You forgot the fucking revelation, but it was like I'm not elite, but I. What was that revelation?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. So the revelation was, I don't do the work to become elite. I do the work because I am elite.
Man, that fucking that hits home, and that sets the frame for this entire conversation around blue collar and what a man is and why we have fucking label called blue collar. Like, dude, we're gonna talk about all that shit. So repeat that again, man.
I don't do the work to become elite. I do the work because I am elite.
And inside of that, like, what does that mean to you, and what was the context and the content where that came to you and you kind of gift that gift away from everybody else that was around?
So I remember just being in conversation on one of the calls that we were doing, and I think I was just in this weird spot where I was kind of feeling a little bit down on myself, and I needed a perspective shift around just taking care of me and doing the daily work that we do here, living the Warrior's way. And it just, like, it was a download. You know how there's those moments when, like, it just this flash of insight from, you know, the voice, wherever you want to call it, that it comes from. And it just sunk right into my heart, and I had to say it. It's like, I don't do the work to become elite. I do the work because I am elite. I just believe that I'm cut from the same cloth as my creator, and that's as elite as it gets. So why would I be anything less than that?
Beautiful. That's beautifully said. So let's talk about Sean, man. Let's talk about, like, dude, you know, you were for years you operated as what you were calling as a blue collar, and let's talk about that experience and what is the life of a blue collar man here inside of America.
So it was the hustle, you know. I knew how to do work with my hands and to get stuff done that way, and that's what we did. Is we just showed up every single day, and we hustled and we grinded and we got our hands dirty and we built stuff, and just that was the game. So it's just being in the business and hands-on and building and creating, but on the other hand, also managing and maintaining and running a business at the same time. So it's kind of this dual role where you're inside, but you're also above and managing, so it can get a little bit crazy.
So, and then why are you so connected to this term called blue collar?
I think mainly it's just a way for people to understand, like, the type of work that we did. You know, this whole blue collar thing where it was, you know, back in the day when there was classes of jobs, like you had white collar, like office work, like higher up people, I guess you would say, you know, like bankers, stuff like that. And then you had blue collar workers that were the guys that were actually, like, out building the buildings and erecting and doing that kind of, like, more hands-on laborious work.
Got it. So through your Warrior experience here inside of the past 4 years, and you've been one of the original guys that actually came on board with Garrett and the entire team here, and I have witnessed your growth. Yeah, really, you have created this bridge between blue collar and any other fucking man through living the Warrior's way. What that means is that there is no, although we may do different work, we're all part of the same cloth. We're all part of the same task, driven and desired by the same voice. And inside of that, blue collar, at the end of the day, we're all fucking blue collar. Like, if you take a look at any man, at one point, a man was a blue collar man. Like, we as boys used our hands to play, and we as boys used our hands to build. And the majority of us have been blue collar. Even the boys that around early age to get into computers, and like, the hands are working. It's the hands that define a man. And inside of that, from an early age, all of us have used our hands, and we continue to use our hands. So I feel like a blue collar every fucking day because I do the fucking work using my hand. I use my hand to do the work. Whether it's put my hand on someone's heart, or whether it's to use it to lift a brick, or whether it's use it to push a fucking button on a computer. Like, I'm a blue collar at heart because I'm a man, and a man at heart is a blue collar. So as long as you have an extension of you, aka your fucking hands, you're a blue collar. Even the banker is a blue collar.
Absolutely. I mean, if you take things back and you dial things back before there was any labels of blue collar, white collar, or anything, every single person had to use their hands just simply to survive.
Yeah.
And I love how you turned it back to when we were all children. Like, we were constantly playing with our hands and toys and outside and getting in the dirt and doing all of these things and just expressing ourselves and being creative. And every single man still has that part of him. No matter what label he has on, what kind of work he does, he's still using his hands to make things happen and create things and bring them into the world.
So if that's a fact, and we just established that inside of this simple conversation, if that's the fact, then what's holding a man to build?
What's holding him back from building? Is that
Yes,
what you're asking?
Yes.
What's holding a man back from building is himself. Yeah, what's holding a man back from building is himself and the way that he looks at himself. So I had somebody ask me, because inside of my business, my motto, or who I believed myself to be, was the elite kitchen artist. And we built and did all kinds of stuff with countertop and stonework in kitchens. And I had another person that was in the same industry ask me a really, really interesting question. One of the better questions that I've ever been asked. And he said, "What made you elite?" And I had to take a step back for a second and just really let that sink in. And the answer was the belief that I am. And that was the entire, like, monumental shift in this entire game of through living the Warriors way. Was it helped me change who I believe myself to be. So that is what actually fundamentally changed all of the results in my life, is I had a shift inside of me on who I believed that I was. And that is the shift that a man that is having trouble building what he desires in his life, he has a fundamental problem with who he believes himself to be, so he doesn't build.
So when we say we're all blue collars at heart, and even this applies to, it's not just for men, it's just women as well. When we say we are blue collar at heart is that we are all builders. And the one thing that we are here to build is ourself. Building with our own hands, or the belief that we are elite, that we are part of his extension, that we are part of his will, that we are what we are, that I am is an elite conviction of who I am. And most of my life, I never believed that. Like, I didn't believe that I am that I am. I didn't believe that. Like, I didn't. I believed constantly on what others would think of me, and that would define me. And yes, you hear it there and there. Don't think what people think about that. It doesn't have any influence. Like, systematically is this cloud, is this fog that covers you, and the fog of the judgment of others. And in that fog, you forge your kind of identity. You kind of shape a man in the fog, and that's who you are. And then comes in this warrior's way of looking at yourself, allowing yourself to see yourself, number one, by getting out of the fucking fog. Number two, by having the courage to look at yourself in the mirror. And number three, having the courage to do the work to build yourself and let go of building others and let go of building for others and let go of being a savior and let go of constantly doing for others and let go of waking up in the morning and the only thing you do is just serve others, never serve yourself. And inside of that conversation, the minute a man starts doing the blue collar work, the divine blue collar work, that is to forge his belief that he is part of God, that he is an extension of God, that he is his creation. And that creation, my friend, is an elite fucking creation. So it's not doing the work that makes me elite. It's the fact that I'm elite that enables me to do the fucking work.
Absolutely. You just nailed it. And the crazy piece is I was already that guy. It was just, like you said, it was that fog of me actually being able to see through the fog and see that I was that person and start to value myself and to actually get clear on what the fuck I actually wanted. Because society has taught, trained, and educated us all to want stuff that society would say this is the measure of success, or this is what being a man looks like, or this is what this is, or that is what that is. But so few men actually take the time to clear the fog and ask themselves the questions of, like, what do I actually want? And then once you're clear on what you actually want, just having the courage and the balls really to go out and build that. Like, use your hands to build yourself and build your life in the way that you want it and you desire it to be, and be willing to say fuck you to anybody who disagrees with it, because it's my fucking life and this is my desire and this is what I want.
Society's frame has been strong ever since we were kids. I mean, you think about it, as we grew up as boys, there was a frame on behaviors and there was a frame on rules. There was a frame, and then growing up to, our teenage age and then going into your, school and what may be next, there was a frame of, you must do something for your future. There was a frame that you got to be successful. There was a frame that you got to be worth it. And inside of that, lost, confused, and just following that frame, we walked into that and not knowing what we wanted to be. And rare were the people that actually knew what they wanted to be. And even if they knew what they wanted to be, the society was still at the pressure for them to play this game of perfection, so that they can achieve the perfect score, that they can achieve the top score and be the best of the best and push to become the best of the best. And in that conversation comes in the next chapter of our lives, which is going in and finding work and bringing money and then finding a family. And then the society puts the frame of responsibility both for your work. The society puts the frame of responsibility as a father. The society puts the responsibility as being a husband. And inside of that, the expectation of the society and those that are part of the frame of the society, including our parents and our loved ones, everything grows. Everything grows and becomes bigger, and it's this massive amount of expectation along with a massive amount of frame that a man is carrying on his back. And yet inside of that frame comes in the questions of, am I doing enough? Am I being the best that I am? Am I supplying enough for my family? What I'm doing, is it enough or not? And those questions, it's questions of the self, and self-doubt comes in, and the society puts another frame on that. And it's the frame of comparison. It's the frame of comparing yourself to so many others, and it's the frame of, it's the false lift that comparison will actually, give you the fuel for you to go and do what you want. It's not true.
It's totally not true. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Because no matter how good I am, there's always somebody else that I could compare myself to and judge myself as less than.
Yes.
So it's a losing game. Like, the comparison game is the game that's always lost.
Yes.
But we're so trained to compare everything. And to what? This mystical frame or this mystical picture that society has painted for you and told you should want.
Yes.
So even if you end up achieving that and you have everything that society would deem as success, you still built a life that was a lie because it wasn't your vision.
Correct.
You built somebody else's vision.
Correct. And inside of that, the society is the fog, and it just doesn't appear out of nowhere, right? If the society is the fog, then there's a fog machine.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's holding the fog machine and pressing on the button and putting the fog. So society is controlled by individuals. And that's why there's different societies. There's different cultures, different countries, because there are different fog machines. And as a person press the fog machine and the clouds come in and the fog machine, the person that are in charge are actually very smart too. They have created this concept that we call role model. And you're supposed to think that role model is good. Oh, my dad is my role model. And my brother is my role model. My CEO is my role model. When you really think about it, this is a false lift again. It's an agency of society that is disguising comparison. Like role model is really comparison disguised. That's what it is. Because at the end of the day, when you say my dad is your role model, my role model, it's like, hold on, bro. Like, hey, is your dad actually displaying all the good and the bad, or he's just displaying the good? And for you're adopting the comparison and role modeling only on the good. But so if role modeling becomes a disguised version of a comparison, which forces a person to actually not be truthful about their totality. As a dad, I'm open on my fuck-ups and my fire-ups to my son. Hey, man, here's where I fuck up, and here's where I fire-ups. And I don't give a fuck if it's 9 or 90. I'm an open book to my son. This is my fuck-ups, and this is my fire-ups. Some may say, dude, that's fucked up because he's going to actually copy your fire-ups. Says who? Says who? For years, we were taught that if you do this, if you're going to do that, then your son is going to do that. No, if you hide that, your son is going to do that. Or if you smoke in front of your son is going to be a smoker. If you drink in front of your son is going to be a drinker. Hey, that's not true. When you hide those aspects is when they become that. Because energetically, they feel it and they know it. So the fact of the matter is that my fuck-ups, for example, could be that, I don't know, I'm just saying as an example, is a fucking smoker or somebody that drinks. If that's my fuck-up and my fire-ups is because I spend tremendous amount of time with my wife and kids and just like I'm committed to my family. That is what a role model should be if we're even going to fucking use that word. Like my dad is who I want to become because of his totality. My CEO is who I want to become because of his totality. Dude, this guy is so smart, but at the same time, he's a fucking kid and he's fun and he has his fuck-ups too. And that's what I love about this guy. That's who I want to be. That's who I want to look at. And the concept of role model brings in the game of perfection. As if any model should just be displayed for the good. Right? Here's what to do and here's what not to do. There are good role models and bad role models. Here's what not to do. In the midst of all this, totality is fucking missed. A person is a total role model of good and bad, not one way or another. You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the big piece with like social media and everything that we have to be connected these days. You don't see totality. You literally do not see totality. You see a fucking highlight reel of people's lives. And then they come to a place like this and we get the real picture of what's going on behind the scenes. And like life is a shit show, but if you were to go to this person's social media page, it would be this highlight reel of how great everything is and how perfect life is.
Yes.
When in reality, we all have amazing aspects about ourselves and our lives, and we all have aspects of ourselves that are just like things that are fucked up in life and things that aren't working out well and things that we did that we're not proud of. There's this whole game, but society has trained us to only share the part of ourselves that is acceptable, quote unquote, to the world. So everyone is forced into this box of where I can't share anything that's actually going on. I can't share the things that would be deemed as like bad, sick, and wrong about me. And I'm only allowed to actually show the world and my wife and my kids and my friends and my colleagues the pieces of me that are quote unquote acceptable.
And that's why as a race of human, as the men and women on this earth, our connection is distorted, our connection is broken, our connection is not strong. Because we are naturally hungry for totality. We thrive on totality. And right now, there's just a portion of it that is shown. Proof of that is this. Like all these fucking reality TV shows. What do? They show it the other side, slightly the other side of a totality. They show some fuck-ups and dramas. And you can see how much and how many people are drawn by that part. They're hungry for it, and the media knows because they don't see it. They don't see it. Everybody hides that. So the minute the TV shows that a little bit, they are hungry for it. And the society, a.k.a. TV and broadcasting, they know it. So they know they can play with that. And it's an angle for them to make money and become popular. So inside of that, this is exactly what's happening. It's your reality TV shows are a manifestation of a proof that today's people, the men and women of today are hungry for totality. Totality creates true connection. Exactly that's what is required for all of us to be connected. So when I say I'm connected to you, and when I say I'm connected to this other person, and I want to be connected, it's my totality that truly connects me to you. Otherwise, I'm partially connected, and that's a false lift. Mm-hmm. My partial connection is a pretender. Yep. My partial connection is a pretender. My totality is the true connector.
Absolutely. And I think to your point with this whole reality TV thing is people are so connected to it because it shows them the other part that none of the world is showing, but it allows them to feel human. When they're witnessing that side of someone else's life, they don't feel like they're as fucked up.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's like, I want to go and watch this and just remind myself that, like, this is actually, more of a real version, even though it's completely fake, but they're at least showing that side of it.
It's exactly how they are and how they feel good about themselves. Mm-hmm. They watch the show to feel good about themselves. That's the only entertaining thing. And the TV broadcaster know this, because the reality is this, bro. Here's the reality. If someone comes to you and says, hey, Shahn, man, I've won $1 million right now. It's in my bank account. I just received it and this and that. I'm not saying you are like this, but I'm saying if any of us, like, and at any given point, we have someone coming into us, and actually you go to them and you say this, right? You say, hey, man, I just won $1 million. It's in my bank account and this and that. And so they're sitting there and they're like, hey, man, that's great. I'm so happy for you, blah, 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 all the good stuff. And then within 5 minutes, they disappear. Mm-hmm. And now you ask yourself, like, why is that happening? Because if you would have come to them and say, hey, man, I just lost $1 million. My bank account was withdrawn. All my money's gone. I'm fucked up, blah, blah, blah. They would have actually consulted you. Hey, man, I'm sorry. But they would have actually stayed with you an hour, 2 hours, maybe a day. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Well, it's simple. Because in a situation where they feel smaller, that environment doesn't make them feel good. So they want to get the fuck out of that environment. And it has nothing to do with you. It's the story that makes them feel smaller. You won the $1 million, not them. They feel smaller. It's not envy. It's not jealousy. It's just that environment makes them feel small. Naturally, he wants to get out of it. The other environment, which is now you're all fucked up and his not, that environment makes him feel good because it's like, oh, fuck, I'm happy this shit is not happening to me. So I'm going to stick around a little bit more here. Natural human fucking patterns and behavior. And that's exactly what the social media is showing right now inside of all these reality TV shows and everything else that social media is displaying. It's like we refer to it as resources of how fucked up we are not and how much we should have. And the minute we start seeing these great things out there and comparison kicks in, like we label it as envy and jealousy, and the reality is not that. The reality is, like, as human, the minute you're exposed in an environment where you're smaller than that people in there, you don't want to kind of be there. And it takes years and years to train yourself to become somebody that you can actually forge and consider elite and have a belief system that you're elite. And it doesn't matter whether someone is in lost or is in gain. You remain you remain elite. You belong in that room for the entire time, not the portion of it that it's extended or reduced. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That absolutely makes total sense. And people just don't like discomfort. People don't naturally select an environment that they would compare themselves to someone else and feel small and want to stay in that environment at all, like ever. So that's why a lot of times we have this term inside of the brotherhood called king of the shitheads. Yeah. And you'll get these guys that will be surrounded with people that are like, that would, I quote unquote, look up to them. And they literally still continue to play a lot smaller than they could actually play in their life. Yeah. But they're able to justify it because they're that top dog of all of their friends and all the guys they surround themselves with like they're the guy that everyone looks up to that has, whatever, this or that.
Yeah.
And they allow themselves to stay stuck in that little comfort zone and that bubble, even though they could actually break out of that and create way more for themselves in their lives. But they're so married to that feeling of being like the top dog, even though they're just king of the shitheads.
Yeah.
So it's this crazy duality, and there's so many things of like, can I just be who the fuck I am regardless of what room I'm in?
It's true. And so today was a good conversation, man. And truly, the biggest takeaway of a conversation is that we are all divine blue collars. And we are all divine blue collars, and our mission is to build and forge our belief system in believing in us, that we are elite individually. And every man is a leader on that aspect, to lead himself first to a place where he believes that he's worth it and is elite. From that space, like, the society is no longer a fog. Society now becomes an actual platform. It is a platform upon which we can grow and build and lead. So as long as it's a fucking fog, man, we just feel lost in it. I mean, it's like the blind leading the fucking blind and disconnected. If I can't see my brother, then I cannot be connected to him. And so it's not to blame the society, but it's to recognize that the fog kicks in because the fog machine has an interest. And the person behind the fog machine is the person that actually creates the disconnection. And there is an interest for that, because time to time they remove the fog and they connect a few people to profit from that interest, that conversation and that connection. But above all, it's our job to remove the fog and put these glasses on that says, I believe in me, I'm fucking elite type of glasses, and the fog immediately eliminates. And from that place where I can see my own hand, and I believe truly I'm a divine blue collar, then I can put my hands on my brother's shoulder, because now I can see him. And then I'm actually doing the work of God, which is like the hand of a blue collar.
Yeah, I guess you could say that God is the ultimate elite blue collar.
There we go.
Because he was the beginning of everything, and then he was the ultimate fucking builder. And in that, he designed each and every one of us to have that same experience, to realize and be able to get to this place where we can believe that we're elite and also have the ability to create and build.
Beautiful. And we are that we are, and we are that was created, and we are the divine blue collars. And you are the divine blue collars, my friend, too, as well, as you're hearing this podcast. And if you want to hear more stories similar to this one, the Parables from the Pit, you can find them at warriorweeknow.com, or you can simply go to iTunes and find us under Warrior Week. Regardless of where you find these sources in this conversation, if this message has resonated with you, my friend, do yourself a favor and forward this to another man or woman that you'll feel worthy listening to this conversation. And at the end of it, we are all the blue collars, and your blue collar task today is to forward this message with both your hands to another person that deserves it. Thank you for being on the show. We'll see you next week on the Parables from the Pit. Here, my friend, me, and Shahn, bringing this live to you every week.
It was out.